Yeah, my pub. We're near the East End.
We are, I suppose, aren't we?
Hello, listeners.
Hello and welcome to the Infinite Escape Room pubisode. You join us at a pub.
Yay.
We're together, we're actually in person. We are at Dirty Dick's in London on our Producers' Day. We have just done an escape room. If you want to hear about that, then we're doing a special, Diary of the Day, separate episode. Might just go to the patrons. Might go to the public as well. See what happens.
I think we're supposed to.
See what happens. Let's go public. It's going to go public. Sorry, patrons. Looks like you're losing out on some exclusive content. It's fine. You're getting super exclusive content. Jamie's already assured me that he's going to record mine in his bedtime.
Absolutely. Jesus Christ.
Aren't you sharing a bear?
And a toothbrush, it turns out.
Oh,
As I stroke Mike's head and read him stories to lull him to sleep, you're going to get the full ASMR experience.
Just go to sleep with the microphone next to you guys and just snore into
We've
it.
got multiple mics on us now as well, so we can just plant them around Mike's body to capture all the sounds. Every gurgle.
Every gurgle. God, there is a lot of gurgling. Hello, by the way, we should introduce ourselves all together.
You said every Goebbels there.
Every Goebbels?
Oh no.
Oh, John, how...
That's a record, 13 seconds.
45 seconds into the recording.
Hello, I'm Mike, and I wasn't going to mention the Third Reich.
I'm John, and clearly I was.
I'm Jamie, the only one drinking in this pubisode. I'm drinking a strong rolling man.
You're the only one drinking?
Oh yeah, we're all drinking.
No one has introduced their drinks.
I'm Mike, and I'm drinking a Beavertown Neck Oil. It's a classic IPA.
I'm John, I'm on the Guinness.
I'm Mari and I'm drinking an Asahi today.
And once again, I'm Jamie, drinking a strong rolling man.
What's wrong? Is that a cider?
No, it's a IPA or pale.
I was going to say it's very cloudy.
It is.
Is it somebody's been in it?
It's viscous, and it's
A viscous beer, exactly what you
and
want.
it's probably filled with roughage, which is what every growing man needs.
I was going to say, Jamie, I had a wee like that when I was dehydrated the other day. That looks...
It is very nice. It's surprisingly fruity.
Yeah, it looks like it could roll off the spoon. So, anyway, we're all together in person for the first time.
And we've done a room, and we didn't kill each other.
And we
We
succeeded.
did very well, actually.
We were a team.
We did the Emerald Phantom over at Secret Studio.
And we can share the time code.
Yeah.
40 minutes.
2 minutes it was.
20 minutes to spare.
Sure. Yeah.
Respectable time.
No hints, yeah.
Excellent brew. Really excellent.
Really nice hosts.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Really nice people, yeah.
I could see why Andrew would be a really good GM to have.
Yeah.
He's just got a really lovely kind of way of speaking. I was like,
Like immediate trust.
Yes,
yeah.
And he doesn't do the slightly heightened, weird, scripty thing that so many GMs fall into, where you can really feel that they've said this 1,000 times before. Now, I think it helps that it's a pretty new room, but yeah, he was wonderfully natural. Even though, as a room, it has, I don't know, do we call it a cold start or a hot start? Where the from the very first interaction at the door, you're kind of in the world in quite a gentle way.
well, I mean, that would actually be a lovely transition to our question, to our episode question, which is going to be...
my segue.
What's our...
It's on fire.
How do we express this as a question? It would be something like, is a cold start the hottest way to do an escape room?
Well, shall we define first what we mean by cold start?
Well, I was going to say, before we get into the question, though, because this is our first time all together, I want to do a shit corporate icebreaker.
Ooh, okay.
Because we're all going to get to know each other.
So, guys, blue sky thinking. Blue sky thinking.
Oh, God.
Let's gel some skinner juice.
Running up the flagpole.
Oh, God, John.
See you salutes.
Oh, John, you could work at the Open University.
Don't worry, I'll take a more holistic view.
Oh, yeah, you actually could.
There's one more I could say, but I won't.
Continue, because I mean, it depends on how closely you're following recent Open University scandals, really. But anyway, so getting to know each other, classic. 2 truths and a lie.
To know you.
2 truths and a lie about each of us. Take a minute to just think 2 truths.
Should they be escape room themed or just anything?
That's whatever feels like your vibbles.
Okay.
If it's escape room themed, you'll have more than me.
Okay.
Let's have a little. What's interesting about my life?
Yeah, that's the Irish kind of.
Herron.
Nearly there.
John's working
No
back,
rush.
he can disclose.
You're fine.
Let's see. So this group of people knows about this. HMRC know about this. And the Met absolutely can't find out about this. Who's kick us off? 2 truths and a lie.
Mine's escape room themed, so...
Go for it, Mario.
Okay. I've done an escape room in my underwear. I've done an escape room underwater. And I've done an escape room in which by the end of the room you are drunk.
Okay, I think in your underwear is a lie.
Interesting.
Underwater is a lie.
I'm going to lean towards underwater. There's also a light.
But you do know that there is an underwater escape room
I do,
in the
but,
UK.
but underwear escape rooms sound much more fun.
And also, you told us earlier you were claustrophobic, and water's all around you.
Yeah.
Can't get much closer than that.
Are you a mermaid?
But you do have blue hair.
I do
Yeah,
have blue
yes,
hair.
that's true.
Yes.
That's half
Not
the
a very
deck.
good swimmer.
And a fine
so I
singing
feel
voice.
So,
No, terrible.
Wait, what? What's the lie?
The lie is underwater.
Yeah!
Okay, right.
So you're going to
These truths. These truths.
The one in my underwear is in Spain, and that
course it
has
is.
a very, what do we call it, cold or warm start, in that you go in, and it's set in a massage parlour. So before you go into the escape room, they give you robes to wear, and everyone has to get down into their underwear before the escape room starts.
What kind of massage parlour?
The idea was it was a little bit risque, but it was an escape room after that.
Was this a real escape room, Mari?
Yes, it's called the Tao Massage Parlour Escape Room, just outside of Barcelona, and it's not sexy.
Okay.
And also there's a trampoline in it, and you're all in
Well, no,
your
you just
underwear
upped the sexiness feature.
Yeah.
I've been on at Laura for years for a trampoline in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful. I'm not sure any of us are going to be able to top these.
Yes, Mark.
And the drunk one, actually multiple. There's several set in breweries in which you go through and you drink as you go. And there was one I did in Canada where you drank shots sort of every 10 minutes. You did a shot.
Oh, that's
So you were sort of at 6 shots by the end.
You need a hint. Have another shot.
That kind of thing, yeah. But yeah. Those were mine. Who wants to go next?
All right, I'll do mine. So I was born deformed thanks to Chernobyl. I sold T-shirts in the British Museum whilst absolutely pissed, and I once accidentally killed my pet tortoise.
Okay, I'm calling Chernobyl as a lie because I know you were born well before Chernobyl happened. So Chernobyl is the lie, which means you're a tortoise murderer.
And what was number 2 again?
I once sold T-shirts in the British Museum whilst completely pissed.
That's true.
That's true.
That's 100% true.
I'm going to say kill the tortoise is the lie.
Kill the tortoise, okay? Tortoise.
Chernobyl is a lie, but year's wrong.
Wait,
I'm going to say...
I don't know when Chernobyl is.
89, isn't
I
it?
don't know when Chernobyl is, or how old Jamie is.
He's not younger than me, is he?
Maybe I am older than you think.
So did you do Chernobyl? You the reason?
It causes a lot of things. Agelessness is one of them.
I don't think you would kill a tortoise,
I'm doubting myself.
even by accident.
Okay, so you think
They're indestructible.
tortoise is lie? You think Chernobyl is lie?
Mari, stop throwing tortoises. That's not what they're for. See, it's fine. It loves it.
Frisbee.
So I can reveal the tortoise is a lie.
Yes!
You suck. I have never owned a tortoise, much as I would love to own one because it's
And
an
kill one.
investment. They outlive me. Well, unless I don't accidentally kill it. But yes, I have sold T-shirts in the British Museum. I was absolutely pissed. That the museum tavern opposite the museum itself was a wonderful watering hole. After my fall from grace as an Egyptologist, listen to previous episodes for the context on that.
Listen to every single episode Jamie is on.
I always find a way to reference it. When a group of British archaeologists took us in as refuge in the fallout, and we were invited as part of that to attend a conference because we made T-shirts that had various things. We advertise Stonehenge as a car park, stuff like that. And we were asked to sell stuff, but we realised then there was a pub opposite the museum, so we took it in turns. Some people would man the booth, some people would go and get a couple of pints, and we got absolutely wrecked midway through the conference in the daytime. So that is true. And then the Chernobyl, which I believe happened in April of '86.
Oh, fuck, sorry.
About 6 months afterwards, as the radiation blew westwards, there was a higher rate of birth defects, and I was born with a 6th toe.
Right, shoes off, Jamie.
Right, they got cut it off when I was 6 months old. I've got the scar, and I reckon they've got the wrong one because what's left is called clumpy. It is a nubbins of a toe.
Again, I feel I cannot top these.
I mean, that sixth toe is leading a cool, independent life now as well.
And that toe's name, Albert Einstein.
Okay, I'll go. Okay, 2 truths and a lie. I feel very unprepared for this. God.
John, you are a professional liar.
Yeah. And I do a load of improv, but only as a fascist. So there we go. Well, only as a bigot.
How do you find these things?
Wait,
How do I know this? They find me.
do you do improv where you play a fascist, or because you're a fascist, you can only do improv?
So I improvise as Basil Fawlty routinely for the show, and while he's not a fascist, there's definitely tendencies and sympathies there.
He's definitely like Daily Mail reader.
If he was around in the 30s and at the Battle of Cable Street, which was not far from where we are now, whose side would he have been on? Let's think.
The moustache is kind of a giveaway. Yeah.
It's true. It's
As
true.
an aside, for a future episode, I'm going to get John bingo cards printed about the...
Do not do this.
The Nazis, Alexa, maths puzzles.
Okay, right. 2 truths and a lie. Okay, 2 truths and a lie. Okay. Gotta think of these. How all this time, I have not been on the Crown. I am a championship-winning sailor, and I am blind in my left eye.
I know this. Okay. So I'm going to let everybody else answer first.
Dang it.
I think the Crown is a lie because you are an actor and there's a lot of people in the Crown.
There it is.
You could well be one of them.
There it is.
I'll play devil's advocate and go for the blind one. But it's the kind that probably is true. I think the row one I think is true. You've got the arms of a boatsman.
Yeah, you.
It said sailor, not rower.
I'll say that. You've got the arms of a
You need to be tall to reach the ropes
You
and stuff,
can
right?
hoist a mast, is what I'm saying, you know?
No idea how sailing works, Steve.
It's literally, I've seen a ship.
I don't know either.
You don't work on Spanish captains, John.
Okay, right, and I'm going to throw mine in. I think I is the lie. Because I know the answer to the other two.
Okay, so I am a championship-winning sailor. I have 2 national championship titles in the 2012 and the 2015 Blaze Nationals. Blaze is a kind of skiff, single-man skiff. I got into competitive sailing when I was 15 because my dad got me into it because I think he wanted me to spend less time playing Age of Mythology late into the night. Hence a cursory knowledge of Egyptian gods, but only cursory. Very good game. I got good at that. I love that game. So that's one ticked off. I was not in the Crown, however, I was cast in the Crown. I auditioned successfully for a role as one of the Queen's pages during the season to deal with Diana.
Yeah.
Diana, it's the eve of her wedding and she's trying to get in touch with the Queen by phone. Talk to her because basically she's having second thoughts and she is stonewalled by the pages who answer the phone. I auditioned and was cast as the guy who answers the phone. The character was then cut in the next revision of the script. So I got cast in The Crown. The director apparently liked me, and then it went no farther. It was one of the oddities of the casting business that they told me there was a chance that it would get cut as they were casting the role, which puts a slightly weird pall over the whole thing. Maybe just wait, guys?
Yeah.
But hey-ho, I think the production processes are very, very time constrained, so I can see why that would happen. And hey-ho, them's the breaks. I am not blind in my left eye, however, I was.
Oh, I didn't know.
I was at uni, probably kind of before it was in first year, so before I really was kind of in the same circle as Mike. I got shot in the left eye with a BB gun. This was a great story. So I lived at uni in first year. I lived in HMP Penbryn, as we called it, which was a block that was modelled on, I believe, a Swedish prison. And oh boy, could you tell, because it was this like long corridor on each floor with about 25 rooms and then like a loo block and kitchen block in the middle.
Wow.
Now, because it's one long corridor, somebody bought a BB gun, and then the guy opposite him bought a BB gun, and then the 2 people next to them bought BB guns to defend themselves. And before we knew it, we had a bad day in Baghdad. So I was trying to pick a reference there that isn't actually current. Somehow Baghdad has become a safe one. That's sad.
I just got back from there, by the way. But anyway, yeah.
And still safe?
I'm here.
You are. with all of your fingers and toes. So I got caught up in this. We had a BB gun fight up and down the corridor, and I remember very clearly with my little BB pistol, sort of taking cover by my door frame and just poking my head around and thinking, this is brilliant, I can shoot at him and all he can see is my face. That was a stupid thing to think. At that moment, a ball bearing hit me in the left eyeball, which hurt like fuck, and was the end of BB wars on the corridor. The wardens got involved, it was bad. I had to go to an ophthalmologist. I was blind in my left eye for about 5 days. It was like frosted glass feeling. And even to this day, if I switch, I'm doing it now, if I switch between eyes, the left eye is just ever so slightly, just not quite strong. It's fine, but it's not quite strong. And never has been again.
Oh.
Damn.
Wow.
I was convinced that was going to be a misfire and a wanking accident.
No, looking back, how's that happened? No.
Damn it, John, remember to aim.
Really?
I'm 3 for 3, that's what I say.
Yeah. Okay, Matt, well, you can't win this. You can win this one if we all get it wrong.
Okay, so 2 truths and a lie. So, the first 4 toes on each foot are actually the exact same length. Interestingly, I never thought about why. I'm a 1986 baby.
Chernobyl, baby.
I will unintentionally mimic the accent of anybody I'm talking to the longer I talk to them.
Not unintentionally, offensively.
And I can smell babies before they exist.
So, okay.
I mean, how far into the whole station?
You've got to go last, John.
Yeah, because I have some knowledge here.
Okay. I've got a vague tickle in the back of my head that the baby story I've heard before, so I'm going to say that is true. But I'll mull over the other two. What do you want, Mary?
Toes thing. I think you were too quick to give background context about the year you were born. That felt like essential.
That is interesting.
But based on nothing else other than I think they all sound plausible. So
Remind us of the 3, Matthew.
Sorry?
Remind us of the 3.
The first 4 toes on both my left and right feet are the exact same length.
Okay.
I will unintentionally mimic the accent of anybody I'm speaking to, the more I speak to them, and I can smell babies before they exist.
Okay, my turn. I think smell babies before they exist is true, because I remember you saying something to me about, this will sound a little odd, but about Laura's smell changing before you guys knew she was pregnant. And that you rather like, I think you said to me that you almost like one of those like golden retrievers or something that could detect that change. I'm pretty sure you said that, so I'm going to say that's true. The toes thing you have never mentioned, and I have seen you naked.
Have, yes, gosh.
and it would have been notable, yeah.
How close?
I mean, I was focused on other things.
Michael, your toes. I mean, your penis.
We were both sides of no.
Mike, I just got seeing back in my left eye. What's that massive meaty baguette swinging around?
The right eye's gone. Oh no!
What a kerfuffle.
Worth it. What a crazy Tuesday.
You're right over there, Mari. Having a nice time.
I just have nothing to add to this conversation.
Neither do I, and apparently I'm the focus. I think the toes thing is... what was the second one?
Accents.
Mimic accents.
I think people do that.
People do, but I don't think I've seen him do it. I'm going to go accents.
Accents.
I'll do toes.
Accents, toes.
Shoulders.
The other one.
The other one, babies. I can reveal.
I'll go for toes.
I can reveal that the lie was toes. Jen, you are bust. So actually, if anything, it's the complete opposite. I have freaky monkey toes. My second toe on both feet is as long as my little finger. I can use it to pick things up off the floor. I have, on camera, peeled a banana with my feet.
Are you looking forward to that tonight, by the way? This
could be great.
Jamie.
Yeah, hand feet.
Oh my god,
Pick that up for me.
mate, I can plait your hair. That was false. So true, I smelt my daughter before she arrived. My wife and I were having a little cuddle, and I, sort of as you do, sort of breathing the other person in, and you kind of like, hang on, and literally something in my animal brain went tingle, tingle, tingle. Laura, you smell different. Go and take a pregnancy test. This was before anything had been missed or anything. This was incredibly early on, and she took it, and yeah.
That's interesting that you immediately associated that different smell with pregnancy.
No, literally, I don't even know how I knew.
Dude, you could charge for this.
Look, I think I have
Just stand in a pharmacy by the right spot and say, look, love, don't take this the wrong way, but don't pay 20 quid for that.
To be fair,
£5, I'll take
I spend a lot of time around Laura.
Just let me sniff you.
I spent a lot of time around Laura, so yeah, I kind of detected Hayley long before she arrived, and yeah, that was spot on. And then I get criticised mostly by my wife for this a lot. The more I speak to somebody, if they've got an accent, I will start to accidentally mimic it.
I've noticed that because I have a different accent from you, and sometimes when you talk to me, you shift a tiny bit into my
How would you describe your accent?
Northwest London, like British Standard, RP, kind of BBC.
No, you see, that's my default.
How would you describe Mike's?
It's different. Your A's, you pronounce A's differently, and some of the vowels.
That's okay. So where this comes from is, when I was really young, we moved around a lot. So we lived in Leeds, South Africa, Leeds again, Kent, Bedfordshire.
All the joggle spots.
But apparently what happened was, anywhere we went, I was tiny, I would just soak up the accent straight away, but there'd always be like an interesting over. So I would be the only person in South Africa, 3 years old, going, "These chips are disgusting," when given a roast potato.
That's adorable.
But I think it's basically like...
Take out chips, change to something else, and you've got... Yeah.
Oh, this apartheid is disgusting.
There we go.
But, I mean, it was. Apartheid was terrible.
Wait, you lived in South Africa under apartheid?
I mean, I wasn't personally responsible for it, but
You were there.
I was there while it was happening.
You were complicit.
I probably was, you know.
Did you go there at the time?
Little 3-year-old me, they were like, "Look, we're going to free Nelson Mandela, but we thought we'd ask every 3-year-old in the country first."
To be honest, they probably give a better answer.
Now we know each other. Let's talk about fucking escape rooms.
Okay.
So, are cold here we go. Here's a good question. Are cold opens the hot shit in escape rooms?
So let's define our terminology first.
Yeah.
We have cold open and I guess hot open. I would say...
Well, no, we've got defined our terminology, so what is cold open?
I literally just said that.
No, you said...
I said let's define our terminology.
I know.
And then started trying to define it. You interrupted me and said we haven't defined our terminology.
The cold open is indeed when the game starts immediately from entering the room. So that's the way around. But the hot open sounds a bit weird by context.
Hot open sounds like it should be that. But let's take Google as read without further questioning because you're going out. So we're defining a cold open as the room begins in the very first moment, and that was what we experienced today at Secret Studio. Thank you.
I wouldn't describe it as a pure cold open because we were still led from the front door to a lobby space and then led to a room.
But all in character.
In character. I don't think that's a cold open. I think a cold open is you open the door and you are in the room immediately.
I'd like to broaden this out slightly then. What I'd like to broaden it out too, because I think it kind of stays kind of relevant, is that the opening and the intro and the briefing is all dealt with inside the world, and whether we think that is a benefit or a pitfall of escape room design. Are we happy with that?
Yeah,
I've done rooms where I walked in the door and the GM wasn't there to greet us, the room just started. And that is a valid thing as well.
Yeah.
Especially in Spain, for example, that's very, very common in Spain.
So is that a hot open?
It's a cold open.
So that's a cold open.
Because you go and you say a secret password to the door swings open and the timer has started, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're in the universe without... There's no differentiating
briefing,
between, like, this is the game space, this is the universe.
Your email is part of it as well. It's like solve the first riddle, say the answer to the door,
So
you're in.
So you're entrenched in the universe before the timer starts, effectively.
So the obvious pitfall I can immediately see, and we kind of had this there a little bit, but they basically explained that they kind of knew to trust us because we seemed to know what we were doing, is that you then don't get to give a proper briefing. It's probably in the email in some form, and that relies on people reading the words in the right order and like internalizing that.
That's true. I would also say different cultures of escape rooms. So I feel like the culture of escape rooms in, for example, Spain is just so different from the ones we get here. I think the type of people going and what they expect is very different, because if you've done like 10 escape rooms and they're all like that, you are just going to read your email really closely, and you're going to expect it.
So what's so comparing the UK, your classic UK escape room, where you book via email, you pitch up to a lobby, a bored person behind a desk checks you in, and then a very keen out-of-work actor comes and leads you into the room. What's the how does that manifest in space? What's the experience?
You book online, you get your briefing email, you go to the door, you say the word, say the password, and you are in. And the email says something like, there's no toilet, arrive exactly on time, or like arrive within this window, your time will start immediately. And you go through, and maybe you only know your GM at the end, and you only find the toilet halfway through and stuff like that.
So that the criteria, it sounds like what they're doing is kind of load shifting the difficult stuff from all the kind of boring stuff from the opening of their room to before the opening of the room.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I do, but see, the difference is I've spent a fair bit of time GMing a room, and I'm thinking all the ways in which the public would be pains in the arse.
The British public.
About yes, I think the issue here, Mari, you're describing an experience in Spain, and which is culturally different.
Get it a bit in the Netherlands as well. I will hazard that. There were a few notable ones in the Netherlands that started like that.
I also think you're describing rooms that are probably more aimed at enthusiasts.
Oh yeah, I'm talking like 2+ hour rooms that were very expensive kind of thing. And people are going for a big experience, and I feel like they know a little bit more about what's happening.
Nobody's doing that for their first room, whereas they are, wow, what?
It's just like rolling off the high street kind of thing.
And in the UK, unfortunately, I think the market is such that basically you have to cater to the newbies because that's most of your audience, which has all sorts of interesting effects later down the track with like difficulty level of rooms, for example. But I think that has to be the aim. So from a running the room perspective, I feel like a cold start is difficult. But to be fair, like the venue today, Secret Studio, and we actually tried to do this with the second Banjo room as well. You can do a hybrid version, where it's like in you come. I am like kind in the world, but kind of not. Here's the toilets. Here's you go, and you're in.
JK, what are your thoughts? You've not. Yeah, we're anything in that.
I think the one thing you mentioned is that some of the rooms don't have a GM, and you don't see the GM at the start. And I don't know if that feels like a good idea. I feel a bit uncomfortable with that. Like if you in a space like an escape room or playing an RPG, the GM is the person that onboards you. There's a level of trust there between you and the GM. They're the person you're gonna look to for clues. The person's gonna hold your hand. The fact that you turn up at a room and there's nobody there, like you don't know who this person is. This person that you've asked for clues for. I like the idea that someone's there to guide you in, even in character or not. I do prefer the cold open, where you enter the space, you're in the universe, and someone's there as part of that world to draw you in. I think that's a nicer way of doing it, but it's difficult to do well. Because
yes, 100%.
You get out-of-work actors and your students who are just like reading from a sheet.
So many rooms do this badly, and when they do it badly, I would rather they didn't do it at all. I would rather you just said, hey, what's your looking? Okay, cool, there are the loots. We enter the room here. Once you enter, the timer will start. I'll see you on the other side.
I suppose that's the difference for me, actually, because so if our question is, are cold openings the hot shit? I suppose, yes, it's when it's done well, absolutely. I mean, we talked about this recently in our discussion about improvisation.
Yeah.
And where you've got somebody, like, for example, our host today, Andrew, who's got the pats down, really understands the themes, got the vibe, got the script, and it all just blends in really seamlessly to letting you in through the front door, taking you downstairs. You have a wee, and it's all sort of within the experience, even if in kind of like a slightly disconnected way, and you're in and go, and that works really nicely. If that had been a lot of other GMs, if that had been somebody maybe less familiar with it, who was maybe having to do a script or something, that probably wouldn't have worked as well. In which case, I would actually much prefer to pitch up to a place, a person to go, here's the room, here's the theme, here's your objective, here's your time to go. I'll be on the hints. Whatever you do, don't piss in the toilet, it's ornamental. Which John and I have had in one or two rooms that we've done.
Yeah, and it was fun.
Yeah.
I've seen somebody do it both ways at the same time, which is really interesting. I did a room where it started off as just being like they were just, they were the games master, they were the co-owner, whatever, and you start talking to them, they're very friendly. And they go, okay, give me a second. They walk off into the office. They then come back with a lab coat and a pair of goggles.
Oh, you're like,
But they're like, it was fine because I'd already talked to them beforehand. I'd already built that trust. We had a bit of a joke. I know that they're very friendly, and it was nice. And even if they flubbed a few lines or like it didn't quite hit the mark, I'm like, it was still a nice experience because I'd already warmed to them before.
So you are perhaps inadvertently you are describing a very specific angle on that. So Mike has referred to like the sort of the red dwarf quality to some rooms that, yes, this thing is made out of tin foil and Chinese takeaway packets, and we're fully aware. But it's been made with love. And you've just met me for 5 minutes. And now here I am with a special hat on. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is very silly.
Well, that's the thing. I think we're British, and I think we like the wink, wink, nudge,
But
nudge humour.
there is a gap between that though, and that awful thing where they try and do something quite earnest.
I was going to say earnest. Yes.
It's so curlingly bad, and I always have the same feeling of just wanting it to end.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my follow-up question. Does a cold open ever go badly? Like, what's the worst example of that?
Yes, 100%.
Examples?
Is we're thinking of the same room.
Are you? Maybe don't name it.
Yeah, we're saying it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, really the escape.
Sure. So yeah, we the escapement. Opening to their Journey to the Centre of the Earth room.
An excellent room. Recommend it.
Really good room. Really good room. I think it's called the Pit. Actually. But the opening, you have your safety briefing, fine. Person goes away, come back wearing a hard hat, and then brings you in, and then does another extensive monologue involving a weird joke about Hugh Hefner, which has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, and it goes on and on and on, and it's badly scripted. And
and it's nothing to do with the space. And you're there with your hard hat and everything, thinking, okay, I want to go down into the pit now. And then you get into the pit, and everything is very high quality. And they've done this really cool thing with like the air pressure that makes it feel like you're on the ground. Really, really good stuff. Why the fuck?
And it could have been
do that?
The whole thing could have been 3 bullets.
Is that a cold open though, or is that just a bad briefing?
I would say it's an attempt at a cold open that just doesn't. I don't know. For some reason, their
Cold open becomes a bad briefing. I suppose this is the thing. There's not really. I suppose one of the things we're kind of starting to move towards. We've kind of got a bit of a scale building where it's not a clean difference between cold open and whatever the fuck the opposite is, a tepid open. You've kind of got cold open where the experience begins the second you come through the door, and then
What I'm thinking of.
one where the experience begins as soon as the GM puts his special hat on,
Right.
and then you've got the rest, and then you've got the opposite end where it's just, So, Jamie Murray.
I've got an example of a cold open that is a pure cold open in inverted commas, but is really bad. And this is an escape room where someone in my party got injured and had to go to hospital. And because we hadn't had the safety briefing, because it was a cold open, we walked in and it was like military, and it was like, do this, go there. And like, we didn't have the, oh, hey, so this is not lit very well, just go careful here or whatever. And because there was a fully cold open, it was an extremely dangerous room.
Holy shit.
And so I think that's an example of a cold open that can go very badly. You do need the safety briefing, and that can't always be in character. And in this case, it wasn't in character; it didn't exist. So,
Wow.
sorry to bring the tone down.
No. Down is where we live.
I think I like it when rooms do at least attempt a cold open, and I appreciate the attempt. I get what you're saying though, that if it's done completely earnestly and they flub it, it completely detracts from the experience, even if the room itself is good. A good or bad GM can make or break a room.
Yep.
So
And you can also salvage a pretty ropey room.
Control escape.
Yep.
it's true, yeah. If they, and especially if there's a bit of tongue-in-cheek humour with it as well, and they realise that things aren't great, and they own up to it. That's brilliant. I suppose then, with the pure cold opens, is there needs to be some sort of tacit agreement between the player and the venue, especially if it's common in places like Spain for it to be a certain way. That the expectation is that the safety briefings on the website that you'll read when you book Then everything else from that point on, you're in the game. You're in the game world, and you can switch that part of your brain off. You are in character. That's what you expect.
Interesting thought.
Because like even with the safety briefing, as like the hot hope or whatever the fuck we're calling it, the game doesn't start until the GM has left, the door is closed, and the time starts to tick down. So like when we went in Secret Studio, even with the warm, like sort of the cold open cell, John was already looking at the elements of the room and trying to figure stuff out and playing the game while the GM Andrew was talking to us in character, giving us a story. So I come back to it often about switching your brain up between those two, the game world and the character.
On that point, I don't know, like, I should have been paying attention to Andrew at that point. I should have been. But the trouble with like bringing people into the room but the game hasn't started is like your player head is then on. You're like, okay, I am surrounded by the puzzles, but you're still here. And there is, in theory, advantage to be had here by me trying to start this now. But then that means me kind of ignoring you, which is kind of weird. Like, you're in a sort of... I quite like that the first moment I see the room, door shut, gone, we're in. Like, I like...
You go in with a lot of nervous energy. You John's busy little hands were scampering all over the set once we got into that one.
There is a remedy to that, and actually, again, I'm talking about international rooms, but in Switzerland I played a couple of rooms where there was a very clear holding pen, which was completely in-world, so like a whole first space, and there was nothing to do in there. You just had to let the story play out, kind of thing. And in both cases, it was like audio-visual, the lights were changing, like voices were happening around the room, kind of thing. But you were in the room, but that you couldn't do anything. You just had to sit there and wait for it, and that was quite clever, I think.
Can I throw in a thought just based on Jamie's? Yeah. Jamie, you kind of alluded to the fact that there's kind of a player expectation element, and I wonder if that's actually a big component of this as to whether they're the hot shit. Because we were, of course, an audience. We played a few escape rooms. Mairi's played at least 7.
Too many.
We've done quite a few, so we come in with pre-baked set of expectations, but also we've got a lot of experience. We know that if something is marked high voltage players, do not stick your fingers in it, we probably won't.
Yes, thank you for that.
We probably won't pull off and destroy any of the...
Yes, thank you.
This is the same room, by the way.
But, I mean, as John was mentioning, possibly actually before we started recording on this, you can sometimes get, particularly in the UK, the target audience is quite a lot broader. It's not just people escape room enthusiasts. It's people who are rolling off the street looking for something to fill an hour who may not have done anything like this before, and for whom, high culture may well be, not pissing on your kebab when you're kneeling down in the gutter at 4 in the morning.
Well, that's not culture. Shit.
And I think that's an interesting thing, because if you think about the Topekas, which is like the top escape room project enthusiast choice awards, we don't have any in the UK, so no one who's played 100+ escape rooms is coming to the UK to do escape rooms, so they're not going in with that expectation of like cold opens, hot opens, whatever it is. And so we do, as escape rooms in the UK, have to attract the general population, otherwise they just don't work. Whereas if you are in Spain, Switzerland, you can get away with making one for enthusiasts and don't expect anyone from the general public to play and still be
and that's the thing, and I feel like the general public actually with a cold open, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's going to put a lot of people off. If you're going there with again, Marjorie from accounts, and she gets somebody who comes up in catch, oh God, is this like immersive theatre? Yeah. Oh dear, is it like pantomime? We're at front row. Tara Breen called me out once. Oh dear. Is it going to be like that?
But you're not going to book like a 3-hour, €300 escape room to play with Marjorie from accounts. So, different audience.
Karen from accounts. Holy smokes. Marjorie.
What was the name of that one with the masseuse parlour again? Marjorie, oil up, we're getting in.
Ball pit. Jesus. But yeah, that's right. So I feel like it's very contextual based on maybe where you are in the world, who your target audience is, as to whether it is the hot shit. But I feel like when it's done well and you've got the right crowd, then
it's great. It does elevate.
Is the hot shit.
I do wonder as well if there's a certain element of overly Britishness that means that we are resistant to a cold open.
Right.
We are, but we also, there's that whole underside to us that we're sort of a deeply repressed people, but we also have a secret craving to let go.
That's true.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, have you read Draknek? Jesus, absolute filth.
I mean, sure. But I think that is present. So hence the observation that with the right people in the right hands, done the right way, it can elevate things beyond what is possible without it.
Yeah.
But huge potential to make something worse as well.
Okay, so final thoughts on our cold opens, the hot shit. Let's go around.
So I love them, but I'm very much the target audience of the person who will spend $300 on like a 3-hour escape room. And it's going to be the best thing of my life, and I want to believe it from second one. I don't want to waste time with like, don't touch things higher than your head height, which for me is most things in the escape room anyway. So
Don't worry, Mara, I got this.
For me, yeah, love them.
Yeah, escape rooms. It's about the escapism, as shitty as it sounds to say. Like, I want to be in character. So even if they're not
www.thearmchairescapist.com.
well, thank you. I'm available for freelance work and bar mitzvahs. I do. I love it when they do it well. I love it when they do it badly. I love the effort. I love it that when people try, and the only way you'll get better at it is to try. So escape rooms, just give it a go, and if you flub it, keep at it, and you'll get better at it. Because just for me, do it for Jamie. Do it for Jamie.
Don't do it for Jamie. Don't do it under any circumstances. I'm broadly against, on the basis that I think of my experiences, most of the attempts of it have failed and actually degraded or devalued the experience for me personally. So I would argue that if you can't do it well, don't do it. I also think it's deployed as quite a sort of cheap way to try and add value, and that puts unnecessary pressure on a GM who's not being paid enough to also be an immersive actor, whilst at the same time devaluing actual immersive actors. So I think it's a lose-lose most of the time. Occasionally it's a massive win, but mostly it's a lose-lose, so don't do it.
And I'm going to build on that actually, because I think if I was setting up an escape room in the UK, I probably wouldn't be doing one, because I think your audience, if you're trying for broad appeal, it's probably not the way to go. And also, as John said, if you're going to do it, you have to do it well, because you either do it and do it well, in which case it can elevate to an absolute masterpiece experience. Unfortunately, the UK is populated mainly by dribbling cattle.
Wow.
With a few shining gems of escape room enthusiasts.
See Mike Collins in a future Joe Rogan podcast episode. Wake up, sheeple!
Shapple? That sounds like a delicious cider. But yeah, no, I love them when they're done brilliantly. I mean, I adore immersive theatre. I genuinely love immersive theatre. And actually, I wish I'd asked Andrew about what's going on in immersive theatre in London at the moment, because I think I've missed Viola's room, which I'm gutted about. Punch Drunk, love it. Just the whole immersive theatre. Fantastic. So easy to fuck up. So incredible when it's good. But it has to be done well. And when it's not done well, it's not worth doing at all. And when your audience is too bovine to appreciate it, then it's probably not worth trying in the first place. That's my final thought.
So we've got 2 yeses and 2 nos. We're split.
Yeah. Okay, well, in which case, leave on our YouTube. Like and subscribe on the YouTube comments.
Do not like, do not subscribe. There are no comments. There is only noise.
I mean, you can subscribe.
You can, do subscribe.
Please subscribe. In fact, if you can, maybe subscribe, phone your nan, buy her a smartphone, get her to subscribe as well.
But subscribe out of hate, not out of love.
Put a review in, 5 stars, positive only. Thank you very much. It'd be lovely.
So we usually end with some recommendations on an episode, and also, to be honest, we're going to need some refills because we are bone dry.
We should keep doing that.
So we should go.
And it should take us 35 minutes.
35 minutes. See, this is why we've got Mari. Right. Okay, so we're not getting another fight.
I mean, we can. Just
Mari,
get a
spreadsheet away.
Okay, so we get a half and a wee. Everybody gets a half. We have a wee.
Nice.
Okay, brilliant. Sorry, come on. We're off to Fancy Shake after this. Right, recommendations, go.
I recommend The Code Book by Simon Singh. I'm 2/3 of the way through, and I love it. It tracks the history of cryptography and name checks like famous code makers and code breakers, going from the secret letters that Mary, Queen of Scots, wrote before she was executed, all the way up to how they broke the Enigma machine and up into quantum computing. And it's fascinating, and it's a brilliant for inspiration for puzzle ideas.
Did you read this? This sounds incredible.
I brought it with me. It's my Canute read. I'm loving it. Beautiful.
I recommend Notes from an Execution, which is a novel I've just been finishing. It is a tale about a serial killer who is on death row with 1 day to live and the women who escaped him, and it sort of flits between the two narratives, using very strangely the second person present for all the stuff from the serial killer's perspective. So you feel this, you see that, you think that, you do this, which is quite sort of unsettling, especially at first. It's a wonderful novel. It's very, very unsettling, as you might expect, but it really it delves into that experience from both angles of it as sort of thoroughly and kind of properly, and with all of the dirt and the grit and the horror as well, and all the lightness and the hope as well. So I've enjoyed it a lot. It's not perfect, I have some criticisms, but it's a great read. Notes from an execution.
Nice. Can I recommend something I've worked on?
Yeah, you can dig yourself.
We have to sing the Pluggy Plug Plug song. Pluggy Pluggy Plug Pluggy Plug Pluggy Plug Pluggy Pluggy Plug Plug Plug.
Okay, so
We are sampling that.
that was incredible. I recommend a game on Steam called The Electrifying Incident. It is a top-down soccer band-like game in which you are wandering around an old reactor. The reactor's going into meltdown. You've got to redirect the electricity, push
That's
boxes
Chernobyl.
around. Chernobyl-esque, but I didn't put that in the marketing copy.
Chernobyl-esque.
You heard it on this podcast
From
only.
Paco Rabanne.
It's quite a tricky puzzle game, but it's in real time. It's about to launch next week. In podcast time, it's definitely out already. Go look it up. Short and sweet game. You'll finish it in one setting, and yeah, I'm really proud of it. So
That's
the Electrifying Incident.
There'll be a link to that in the show notes. And from me, I've been really enjoying, I think it's Matt Haig's Slow Horses books, the Slough House books. But a load of people were raving about Slow Horses being on Apple TV Plus.
Only season 1, don't bother after that.
I can't be asked with Apple TV, so I just read the books instead. And really enjoying them. They're wonderfully shit in a kind of this is very much kind of spy drama, mystery thriller kind of stuff, but with a wonderful patina of shit over the top, which just the kind of the general feeling of crappiness and misery that overlays the whole thing is
Like you,
absolutely
all right.
wonderful. It's been a very busy boy recently. I'm feeling a little bit on edge. But no, really enjoyed that. Really good. Actually, second recommendation real quick has been I replayed Prey for the third time on the Steam Deck. Superb game. I think it's Arkane's best commercial flop. I think it's an
It's a very
absolute banger.
specific award.
It got absolutely
I don't even know
fucked.
I'm going to be in there.
Jamie's doing a photo. We're on a ship.
Yeah, Jamie just took a photograph. It's a Prey cracking game. You can pick it up for like £2 on Steam or Subukis these days. It's wonderful. It's 10 years old. It's Arkane. It's absolute finest, and it was a massive commercial flop because the publisher made them change the name to Prey, the name of an existing less good franchise, for no reason whatsoever, and because of that it bombed. But it's an excellent game. Anyway, right, we need to probably start making a move soon. We could always make a move, get to where we need to go.
Have a half there.
Then have a half there. Yeah, I can see Myri's just like,
We're not getting a half.
where do we go to the place we need to get to?
I've got the option. There's a bus that's basically door to door in
Bus?
34 minutes.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Door to door, 34
Right.
minutes. That's the one.
We love you lots, and we'll see you next time on the Infinite Escape Room. I've been Mike. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. We're going to get our flat jackets on and get the bus.
Hooray!
Jesus.
What is his objection to the bus? He came by bus.
No, that was a
4 hours at a... No, it was a bus. It was a replacement bus.
once upon a time.